one of the greatest enemy to your progress, one of the greatest enemy to your fulfillment of destiny and purpose in life is fear. And the greatest of all the fears you need to overcome is your personal fear, your internal fear. And I can tell you, once you overcome the internal fear, there is nothing external that can overcome you. Maybe tears, you can't threaten me, forget it. Because after what are you going to threaten me? The highest form of threat, or the highest form of the state of fear is death. And death, I'm not scared to die. I'm not afraid of death. Because death is a gentleman. We will do another video and talk about my experience with death. Death is a very beautiful gentleman. It's a just gentleman. When I say gentleman, for the literal talking, but it's not a personality. It's a spirit, and it's a force. You understand? So I have come in confrontation with death. I've experienced the energy called death, so you can't threaten me with death. So that is why the highest or the capital punishment that they used to threaten people from so that they'll be fearful in doing that which is not good in society is that the capital punishment, that is the sentence to death. And even in the Bible exploited that energy of death to put fear, to use the word to put fear into humanity to be able to do that which is right. And they said, the day that ye shall eat of the fruit of knowledge of good, that day ye shall surely die. We can treat that subject. What was the concept of death that the Bible was talking about? Because it wasn't a literal death, that the normal death that we died, where the soul separates from the physical body, from the senses. So even to the extent of spirituality, death is used as a means to restrict people by way of putting fear of God into them. So fear, its highest energy is death. And that is why everybody is afraid to die. And once you are able to overcome the fear of death, you are a victor automatically. So now we are going to look at fear. I've already defined what fear is. But for the general knowledge, or the average knowledge, is that anytime your body goes into a state of sensing aggression, threat, or frightening situation, that your body or your personality hasn't got enough energy to be able to transcend and overcome that opposing aggression, that opposing energy, that opposing threat energy finds its way into your energy field, which is your personality field, and then begins to infiltrate through your energy center. Then it stalls down your ability to withstand it. And that is what creates fearful situation. So for instance, let's say for instance, you are working at night, and then you met somebody. So why are you going? So I'm going towards this. Oh, there is somebody died there. At the moment that information is fed to your mind, and you are unable to galvanize the necessary energy to repel, disperse, or dismantle that thought frequency which is being sent inside, what happens is that thought frequency penetrates your thought frequency and destabilizes your thought frequency. That's your defense mechanism. And once it is destabilized, that cause energy takes charge of all your energy centers, and then you are grounded by that energy. And that is what we call fear. And once you are grounded by that energy, it makes you powerless. It makes you unfunctional. It makes you dysfunctional. It makes you not reasoning properly. It makes you confused. It makes you depressed and stressed out. That is why when people are terrified, it affects their sacral area. Okay, then so when they give you a very bad news, most of the time you feel like going to the place of convenience. Either you want to some people even pee on themselves. Instantly the bad news comes, they pee on themselves. Some of them quickly want to go to a place of convenience. That's what I'm telling you. It is an energy that you need to guard your frequency against so that it does not penetrate through your space. And it's one of the things that really, really retard human progress. That is why in the whole of the universe, they either create panic or fear when they want to penetrate with a new form of principle or ideology. So now that you know what fear is, I want us to take the energy centers one by one so that you can identify any time fear is resonating in any of your energy field. So as I told you, we have 7 energy fields, and all the 7 energy fields and how it deals with the fear frequency. So we're going to take it one after the others. So we start from the base, which is your root energy center. When you go to the eastern side, they call it the root chakra. But we are in the western side, or we are in Africa, so we use the word energy, okay, or power center, okay. No other word. I don't know how. Maybe there could be another word. For now, that's what at best I can think of to replace the eastern terminology. So the 7 energy center starts from the root energy to the crown energy center. So we are going to look at it. And so when fear penetrates, let's say your root chakra, how are you going to feel? How are you going to take the frequency so that you know that no, a fear and air causes idea. So now I have put a few down. If you have pen and paper, you can take it. You can record a video and later on get it done. So at the root level, the root chakra, which is the very base, under your base of your spinal, where your spinal ends at the base, there we call it the root chakra or the root energy center. Now this root energy center is governed by the earth element. I'm going to give you the element that governs those areas. So this root energy center is governed by the earth element. It is the energy center for survival. That's what we call the survival instincts. So that is why it is instinctive in everybody to survive. That anytime you want to kind of infiltrate somebody's survival space, it becomes aggressive. So that is the energy center that deals with your survival. It's the very essence of life. It is what we call the I am, the existence. Okay? Now, what actually blocks that energy center or that chakra is fear. In general, all the energy centers has what blocks it, but at the subtle dimension, it is fear which operates in that dimension of that subtle frequency. Now, so when you come to the root energy center, or we call the root chakra, it is the energy center that propels survival. And what actually drives it is the ability to survive, the energy to survive. That is the energy that it emits. Now, anytime you become fearful, that energy to survive is dissipated. So when that energy is dissipated, you are down, you are depressed, you are stressed out. That is what happens. So in that root chakra, how do you know, or in that root energy center, how do you know fear is infiltrating that side? Anytime you are afraid to die, the fear of death, that means that fear energy has penetrated through your survival energy center, which is the root energy center or the root chakra. So anytime, and you can imagine how many people on earth are afraid of death. And the rest of all your energy centers sits on the root chakra. It's like the foundation of existence. That's why we call it the survival. It is from which all other energy centers survive. So when your survival instincts is dissipated with the fear of death, you are easily exploited. You are easily intimidated. So that is why a lot of people are afraid to die. Because their energy center, which is the root energy center, is very porous. And it has been fed with the energy of fear. So if you're afraid to die, that means that your energy center, which is the root center, is weak. And it has been blocked. The flow of the life survival current has been blocked. So you are afraid to die, or you are afraid of death. And when you are afraid of death, you cannot make any significant progress. You cannot attain any great height in life. You cannot achieve any significant progress in life. It's people who overcome the phases of fear and can face can face death and can face anything in the face of death because they are not afraid to die, are those who are able to make significant progress in life. So don't be afraid to die. Death is an illusion. We take time and treat what death truly is. Death is an illusion. When you experience death is the most gentle energy you would ever experience in life. And death is not as bad as we pray in the church. Hey, no. And death does not work anyhow and does not kill. go around killing people at random. No, it operates on principles. So we'll treat that one later on. So we need to overcome the fear of death, because that fear of death is an elusive fear. It does not exist. Because death does not compromise. It does not compromise. No. If your time to die, there's nothing you can do about it. That's why a wise man once said to me, the coward die 1,000 times before its real death. But the courageous and the valiant never takes of death but once, since death is unconditional if it is to come. Death is unconditional. If it is coming, it is without condition. And I can tell you, I can testify to that effect, that when death comes, it's your time to die. When death comes to you, it is unconditional. Nothing can stop it. Even those who raise the dead, when their time comes, they will die. So death is unconditional if it is come. So it is only the cowards that die 1,000 times before their real death. Why does the coward die 1,000 times before their real death? It's because of fear. It's because of fear the coward die 1,000 times before their real death. Another subtle energy that you experience, that you know that fear has attacked your root energy center, is the fear of exiting this material world, the fear of losing comfort, and the fear of losing safety. So anytime you feel insecure, that anytime you are afraid that you lose your security, you will be attacked, something is going to attack you or something like that, that means that know that fear has hit your root energy center, or your root chakra. Anytime you are afraid to lose your comfort, maybe you are in a company, you are the managing director of the company, and you live in a comfortable life, and somewhere along the line you begin to, hey, what if I lose my job? What if I lose my car? What if I lose my comfort? Know that fear is attacking the very essence of your survival, which is the root energy center or the root chakra. So you should be aware of that. So the root chakra, anytime fear attacks your root energy center or the root chakra, it brings to mind the fear of death. What if I die? What happens? What if I die? What happens? Hey, I will die, oh, and all those things. When those thoughts begin to come, or anytime you're afraid to die, know that fear is affecting your root chakra. And anytime you are afraid to exit the material world, anytime you are afraid to lose comfort, and anytime you are afraid to lose safety and security, know that fear is attacking. That energy we call fear, that frequency we call fear, is penetrating itself into your very survival energy center, which is at the base of your spine. Now, let's also look at the second energy center and how fear, from the base, how it gravitates towards the second dimensions of your energy center. Your second energy center is what is called the sacral energy center, and that is at the top. Next from the base is the next one, and that is governed by the water element. That is governed by the water element. It deals with pleasure. It deals with pleasure. That's how you have all your sexuality, sensualism, and all those things. It deals with pleasure, and it is blocked, or the energy of that pleasure is dissipated by guilt. And guilt is another form of fear, but in a subtle way, in a very fine and a reduced intensity. It deals with guilt. And then how do you know fear has penetrated that energy center of you? Because when fear has its way to your very essence of survival, which is the root energy center, it doesn't remain there. It climbs up, because it has to take the whole of your being and ground or freeze your entire body for you to be frozen, that you cannot act, you cannot think right. It puts you in a state of confusion. And to be able to put you to the state of confusion, it needs to come from the very base to the very top. So that it takes control of your entire nervous system. So how do you know the fear which comes from your root chakra has graduated to your sacral chakra or your sacral energy center? And that is when you are afraid of your authenticity, when you are afraid to be authentic, to be your true nature. When you lose that authenticity of your true nature, that's your sexuality. And this is where a lot of people are trapped. And all this concept of homosexuality, lesbianism, LGBTQ, and all those emanates from that fear area. That is the fear that's the energy which is causing all those is transgender. I'm a man, I want to become a woman. I'm a man, I want to marry a man. I'm a woman, I want to deal with a woman. It's all trapped within that. And all those people are living in the state of fear. That if they can overcome and be bold of who they truly are, of their sexuality, then they will not need that. How can you be a woman and say that you want to become a man? And how can you be born a man and say that you are a woman? You understand? That means you're not confident. You're a coward. You are afraid of your sexuality. And it's an energy which is doing that. It is not just a mere intellectual decision. It's an energy. But it starts from the base and it climbs up to the mind. Once it's able to take hold of the mind, your entire personality system, which is the nervous system, is influenced by it, and then it takes you and freezes your entire being. Then you begin to act according to its dictates. Because fear is an energy, it dictates to us. And that's why somebody will be there and they say something. You have a feeling that something is pursuing you, and then that feeling of fear tells your intellect to run, and you begin to run whilst there's nobody chasing you. You live in your own house, and then you come from town, and you feel that the fear of thinking that there's somebody in the house, and when you take instructions from your fears, then you are afraid to enter into your own house. Because at a certain point, when fear has been successful to ground and freeze you up, it then begins to dictate what you are supposed to do and what you are not supposed to do. So yes, at that level of pleasure, sexuality deals with pleasure. So when you are afraid of your sexuality and fear grips you of your sexuality, and you are not courageous enough to be bold of your sexuality, irrespective of how you look and appear, that is when you switch and you begin to behave funny. Now, the next place, if the fear graduates from the first energy center to the second energy center, it then graduates to the third energy center, what we call the solar plexus. That is somewhere here. Okay? So the solar plexus is governed by the fire element. And it deals with willpower. It deals with willpower. That's what the Bible said, for out of your belly shall flow living waters. So it deals with willpower. It deals with energy. It deals with strength. You see, so power lies here. This is where we can command. So when you are doing declaration, decrees, and commands, you pick the energy from your plexus, and then you send it up here. So that's why let me show you how the energy works. And it is there. It's in everybody. When you sit in a plane or you sit in a vehicle, and the vehicle climbs a hill, and the vehicle descends, you feel a drop of energy in your just a little bit above your, let's even use not above, just a little bit around your navel area. You feel that zim. Or sometimes when you sit in a flight and the flight drops itself, you feel that in zim. And sometimes when people have that experience, naturally they want to visit the place of convenience. That is the solar plexus area. That is your will. That is your willpower. And people think willpower comes from here. Willpower doesn't come from the mind. Willpower comes from here. This is where you harness the energy. Now, how do you know fear has graduated from the first energy center, which is the root energy center, and has gone past your second energy center, which is the sacral energy center, and now it's eating into your solar plexus region? Now, this is what you have. it is the energy of shame, the fear of shame. I told you that it's the same fear, but it graduates itself in subtle way. So anytime you are ashamed to do something, or you feel ashamed or shy to do something, that is, you should know that the energy called fear has gripped your solar plexus area. That means it's graduating further. So when that shyness or shame is there, you naturally would not do what you are supposed to do or what you can naturally do best. When the shame or shyness is there, you cannot naturally exhibit and come out and be bold to express your natural capabilities and potential. When you go to a place where you need to come out and then let people know what you have to offer, your will is porous. You lose your self-will, you lose your willpower. You have no choice. People dictate the pace to you. So that is where you lose your willpower to shame and shyness. And when you lose your willpower to shame and shyness, that is where another second is the fear of poverty and losing of money comes in there. It all operates within that region. Now, from the solar plexus, it moves a little bit higher. Then when it go past the solar plexus, it's now taking hold of your entire persona. From there, it graduates to your heart region. Now, the heart region is controlled by the air element, and it's the region of love, emotion. Now, you know that the two magnetic field, because you know you are electromagnetic field. You have the lower three magnetic field, and then you have the upper three electrical field, because you are electromagnetic nature. So once it gets to the heart level, that means it has entered into your balance state. For the heart is that which balances your electromagnetic field and your electrical field. That is the level of the heart, which is the energy that resonates with the green color. So once it hits into your heart field, the fear has almost gripped you. That is why when the fear hits into your heart field or your heart energy center, what happens is that you begin to pant. Your heart you begin to experience what we call palpitation. If you don't take time, you pass out. And that could also lead to hypertensive issues related to hypertension. Now, how do you know that energy we call fear has transcended all the level from the first, second, and third and has hit into the balance state of your heart center? The first thing is that you are afraid to love. You are always skeptical about love, about extending love to people. And then you are afraid to be loved. When somebody is loving you, you always have a double mind. Is it honest? Is it transparent? Is it true love is extending to me? And you're also afraid to love people in return, because why do you afraid to love people in return? Then the second issue comes in, the fear of betrayal. The fear of betrayal, because you are afraid that people will betray you. And because you are afraid that people will betray your love, you are afraid to love. And because you are afraid to love, you can never take love in return. So you are afraid to be loved, and you are afraid to love others. And that is governed by the second fear state, which is the fear of betrayal. So when you begin to experience that thing in your life, it can happen that based on your life experiences and your encounter with people and how people have treated you and all those things. When you had a boyfriend, the boyfriend betrayed you and treated you bad and left you. The boyfriend, that situation deposits an element of fear within your heart energy area. So based on that unpleasant experience with your boyfriend or your husband or your brother, your business mate or your partner or whatever it is, there's that energy deposited in your heart region area. So then once that energy is there, it is very difficult to love people, and it is very difficult for you to accept love in return because of the fear of betrayal. Once you begin to experience that thing, know that fear, the energy fear, has eaten into your heart energy center. And then when it gets there, it's very dangerous, because it has almost taken control over the body. More than 60%, they have taken control over your entire system. So the heart energy center is governed by love, It is under the air element, governed by love, and that love energy is blocked or dissipated by grief or hatred. So when you have grief in your heart, you have hatred because of some experience or one experience or the other, what happens is you breed that energy we call fear, and that energy we call fear, which is brooded as a result of your grief and hatred and bitterness you have stored up in your heart, makes you to become fearful of loving people and accepting other people's love because of betrayal. And when that happens, you lose your sense of compassion. You don't have compassion. You don't feel compassion. That is why there are certain ladies who don't have compassion for men. And there are certain men who don't have compassion for women. And that is why we have all these feminist organizations. All these feminist organizations, they are all trying to express their state of fears for the masculine energy because of one experiences or the other that they might have experienced from the masculine, the opposite energy of their persona, which is the masculine energy. So the state in which people join this feminist movement and all those things, it's nothing. It's not a fight for anything, but they are all in a state of fear, and that fear has gripped their hearts, and they need to be helped. They need counseling. They need to be helped to get out of that state. But you see, it's so subtle in such a way that if you don't take time, it becomes your pride. And we come to that level. And I know certain feminist movement leaders who are now married when they overcame their fears of the masculine energy. Now they are married and they are successfully married, they are happy, and they realize that the balance is the best state to be in. So all those in that feminist state, if you want help, you can consult, you can call in, and we are going to help you overcome that energy of fear. It does not exist. It's an illusion. It's a state that you unfortunately find yourself in. So that feminist movement you've joined, they are all illusions. They are misleading you to contradict the law of nature. In the law of nature, there's no feminist movement. The law of nature deals with the law of balance, the union between the feminine energy and then the masculine energy. That is the only union, that is the only law that brings about productivity and the continuity and the propagation of life and the sustenance and the continuity of life. So there's nothing like feminist movement in nature. In the divine calendar, in the divine vocabularies, there's nothing like feminism. It doesn't exist. It's a self-created state of beingness fueled by fear that has gripped or grabbed the heart energy center. That is the problem. So now that is how fear works in the heart level. So when you experience these things, then you should know that it is fear which is working subtly in that dimension. Now from the heart energy center, it travels to your throat energy center. Now the throat energy center is governed by the element we call the ether, which is the fifth element. We call the ether, and that center is its power that causes the energy of nature to flow in, or the attribute that governs that particular energy center is truth. Is truth. And that attribute of truth is blocked by lies. Is blocked by lies. So when fear graduates from the first, second, third, fourth to the fifth energy center, which is the truth energy center, how do you know that fear has gripped that energy center? Every time you are afraid to be a truthful person, you are afraid to speak the truth. There are some people who are afraid just to speak the truth. They are terrified that something will happen to them if they speak the truth. They are naturally good liars. So the energy center is totally blocked. The energy center of truth is totally blocked by the energy of lies. And when that happens, you cannot, the life current cannot flow to that side. So the fear of being truthful is one sign you know that the energy center, the fear energy, has climbed up to your truth energy center. Another signal you will know that the fear energy has climbed up to your truth energy center, controlling your ether, is the fear of expressing yourself, the fear to communicate, to express who you are, how to really be yourself, and really when you get to some place, you can boldly talk about yourself and then express who you are, the fear of expressing who you are. Know that when you're unable and you are afraid to let people know who you are, speak of who you are, what happens is that the fear has taken charge of your truth energy center. Now, the sixth energy center is what you call the third eye or the pineal gland. And this is a whole topic we need to talk about it because it's one sensitive area we need to deal with it. Now, this pineal gland is governed by the light and darkness energy. You know, the energy of polarity, duality, the light and darkness energy. The pineal gland or the third eye is attributed or run by the energy of intuition. So that is why when you activate your pineal gland, when your pineal gland is activated and it is decalcified, you begin to have intuitive connection. You begin to have intuitive in-drop of knowledge from the higher frequencies. So when your pineal gland is blocked or your third eye is blocked, which we call it calcification of the pineal gland, you need to decalcify your pineal gland to erase or to wipe out all those calcium deposits which on your pineal gland. Now the pineal gland is the energy center between the left brain and the right brain, and it coordinates the left and the right brain in the balance so that you don't think with analytical, or you don't think intuitive, you don't think emotional, you don't think analytical, but you deal more intuitively. So that is what the pineal gland, it connects you to the seventh energy center so that you can now connect to the higher frequency of yourself. So that energy center, which is run by the attribute of intuition, is blocked by illusion. You see, when you begin to perceive things that are not, you begin to create your own fake realities based on accruing facts and figures and listening to false information, and this false information creates your own reality, and this reality becomes an illusion of something which is not there, but you think it is there. So people have illusions with regards to marriage. People have illusions with regard to child upbringing. People have illusion with regards to family life. People have illusions with regard to relationship. People have illusions with regards to work and businesses. People have created their own reality, and these realities are not actualities, and they are living in their own world of self-deception. And they so much sync and synchronize into the state of self-deception to the extent that they are ready to die for that state of illusion. So they only see life from their angle, from their perception. And that perception creates their reality, and realities are elusive, realities are relative. And as realities are relative, they are elusive by nature, because you are not dealing with the actualities, but you are dealing with the relatives. So what may be right to you may not be right to me, and what may be right to you may not be right to me. So these are what we call relative, and these are illusions. Now, how do you know the energy fear has penetrated to that field of your energy? It has penetrated to that your energy field of the third eye or the pineal gland. You understand? One of the things you experience commonly is that you are afraid to follow your intuitions. So something tells you do this, and you are afraid to do it. You are going somewhere, something tells you don't go, and you are afraid not to obey. You go somewhere, something tells you pick this and give him something, and you are afraid to carry out that intuitive direction that comes to you. You always have doubt of your intuitive receptivity. That means that fear is capturing that frequency or that vibratory energy center. Now, another thing that also depicts that fear is trying to capture your third eye pineal gland energy center, is that you are afraid to trust your feelings of the heart. When your heart frequency picks some feelings and then trying to transmit it, you are afraid to trust that feeling. So sometimes you'll be there and you have a feel of something and you are supposed to do it and you refuse to do it because you're afraid of doing it. But some couple of minutes, days later, the thing happens. So, oh Charlie, I felt that I should do this thing, but I didn't do it. That tells you that fear has arrested that your third eye pineal gland energy center. We are going to look at the last energy center, which is the crown. This crown energy center governs time and space. Because beyond the crown, when you go beyond the crown, time and space is immaterial. It does not exist. So time and space starts from the crown center here. Because this is the crown center. And the crown center is your connectivity to divinity. It's your connectivity to your highest self. And it's within the crown center that time and space operate. Now, the energy that governs that crown center is the transcendental energy. And that transcendental energy is blocked by what we call ego of attachment or egoistic attachment. When you are attached to your ego, it is very difficult to deal with the crown center energy. Now, how do you know that fear has attacked your crown energy center? By making you egoistic, because the ego blocks the flow of the transcendental or the cosmic energy. Now, one of the things you begin to fear is you become afraid of connecting to your spiritual nature. And there are a lot of people who are afraid of pursuing spirituality. Either they think there's going to be mad, there's something's going to happen to them, and how does it look like? What are the authenticities there? And so many questions. They are afraid to connect to their own spiritual nature. When you are afraid to connect to your own spiritual nature, know that fear has penetrated to the highest dimension of your persona. And the second thing that you get to know that fear has connected to that your energy center, your crown energy center, is that you are afraid to connect to the self. So there are a lot of people who want to realize the self, yet they are afraid to connect to the self. So if you begin to feel that threat, that energy of being afraid to embark on your spiritual journey, and when you go to places and talk about spirituality, one common element that runs through people's question is their fear of uncertainty, how it's going to look like. And all these things are cause energy frequency coming from opposing dimension of progress, anti-progress, and we call that energy fear. So you need to understand that fear is working from the very lowest aspect of your persona to the very aspect of your persona. And you need to deal with it, and you need to be able to overcome it. So I have gone through the various energy centers in your body and how fear permeates through that energy centers and finally grips your entire persona and eventually freezes you. And when you are frozen, you become incapacitated to do anything meaningful, to be able to realize yourself, to be able to discover your true potential, to be able to discover your true innate abilities and natural capabilities. You're unable to fulfill the reason why you exist. You're unable to fulfill your purpose. You're unable to fulfill your mission in life. This is how far fear can destroy us. This is how far fear can disintegrate us. And once fear grips us, it is possible that all other things in our life begins to fall apart. And most of the things that we experience, or most of the destructive and negative things you experience in our lives is as a result of the power of fear, which is resonating within our energy centers. That is why when you go into the Bible mentions fear so many times than any other caution in the Bible. Fear, they say, has been mentioned 365 times in the Bible. So certain theologians make that analogical calculation that if we have 365 days in a year, and fear has been mentioned 365 times in the Bible, that fear not, fear not, fear not, 365 times. That means literally the Bible is telling you that live each day of your life overcoming fear. You need to live each day of your life courageously overcoming fear, overcoming the energy we call fear, because it's the one single energy that has the ability to retard your total progress and the total fulfillment of your purpose and mission in this life, and the total alienation from all the potencies and abilities you have. It's going to alienate everything good that you possess within yourself, and ultimately prevents you from realizing your true spiritual state. So this is something we really need to take care of. We really need to work at it, and we really need to deal with it. In the part 2 of this video, we are going to deal with how to handle fear and how to overcome and transcend the energy we call fear. So please be aware and be conscious of the energy that we have called it fear. It's an opposing energy that counteracts against anything progressive, and do not entertain it in your life. From your senses to your emotions to your intellect, do not entertain it. Make sure you triumph over that energy, you transcend that energy to able to harness the full potential of your personality. That is one. To make sure you don't bring up your children in the spirit of fear. Don't put fear into the children, because when you put fear into the children will grow timid, the children will grow cowards, and the children will grow with low self-esteem and with inferiority complexes. So please try as much as possible not to bring up children in the spirit of fear. Don't threaten them. I'll call your dad, I'll beat you, I'll do that. No, just talk to them. When they do something which is not right, make them understand why they shouldn't do what they are doing. If the need be, you need to beat them. Don't threaten that you beat them. When they do it, call them and beat them. If the need arises, depending on which jurisdiction you are in. Certain jurisdiction, you go and beat a child, you end up in jail. So depending on which jurisdiction you are in, you deal with the child accordingly, but do not entertain fears. And to all teachers on this platform, or to all teachers who may have the opportunity to listen to this video, do not teach children by exploiting the tactics of fear as a means of getting the children to comply and to adhere to your directives and directions in you teaching them. Do not employ that strategy, because you rather would kill their self. You kill their persona, you kill their courage, and you kill their esteem. So please do not deploy fear as a means, or threatening as a means of trying to get these children under your supervision to do what you want them to do. It's not a good thing, and it's not the best thing. Let's harness the energy of love, because love is one of the energy that makes us overcome fear. Let's harness the energy of love, because love gives us courage, and courage is the ability to face fear and overcome it. Courage is the ability to face all odds and to stand strong in the face of fear and to overcome it. That is courage. Courage is not the total absence of fear, but courage is to galvanize enough love and energy to face fear and overcome it. That is courage. Courage is non-existence, but it is the only opposing energy that you can cultivate to be able to face your fears and overcome it. And once you're able to overcome your fears, you realize that the whole world is an endless possibilities, and the only thing which is limiting you from achieving your highest estate is the fear that has gripped you, depending on which energy center it is operating within your persona or your personality. So please, I just want to thank you. In the part 2, or the part 2 is going to come. In the part 2 of this video, we are going to teach you some of the exercises and some of the things you are going to do in order to overcome fear. Thank you, and God bless you. Practice love and make sure that you keep to the virtues that I have been propounding. And it's going to help, it's going to go a long way to help you. Thank you, and God bless you.